All right, and our final segment of the Thursday Sports Pages. By the way, we have no show tomorrow, so it's our final segment of the week. Bring in Eddie Brown, UT's mock draft guru, sensei.
And we were at the Combine,
Yeah.
Eddie, and a lot of the talk revolved around Lane Johnson, especially when talking about the Chargers and who they might take. You're pretty high on this guy, right?
Yeah, I mean,
You were before, even,
Yeah.
just saying.
yeah, athleticism off the charts.
He's running a fast 40.
4.72,
Yeah.
which I believe is the second fastest ever for an offensive lineman.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, former quarterback, former tight
Yeah.
end. I mean, you know, he has
Yeah.
all the intangibles.
You just mentioned this. Okay, so the guy goes to juniors college basically as a quarterback.
Right.
They change him to tight end.
Right.
Then they change him in JC, I think, to defensive end.
Yeah.
Then to offensive tackle.
Right.
He hasn't been playing offensive tackle that long.
That's
No.
what I was wondering.
So he's not as polished.
Right. But he's obviously good enough that he's shown them that he's been able to succeed at that position. So I kudos to that guy. I mean,
Yeah,
I
the
think-
potential is off the charts.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, especially at 11, you're looking for somebody who potentially
Yeah.
is going to be an All-Pro.
Yeah.
Right, and also though someone that can come in and play for you.
Exactly.
Right away.
Can't have a
Exactly.
project with the Chargers right now. They can't afford it.
Not at a number 11
Yeah.
for sure, too.
Right.
Now, let's say they don't go there, okay?
Right.
Cornerback is another. The kid from Washington.
Yeah, Desmond Trufant.
Okay, that makes sense to me, is sort of, even though you spent a second and a third rounder on him, and
Yeah.
I think they're actually going to get a corner in free agency, a cheap one.
Okay.
Another possibility is guard, Jonathan Cooper.
He's kind of Chance Warmack's, the Alabama kid's 1A
Okay.
in this guard class. Very, very dynamic, very powerful.
All right, thoughts on a guard that high? Now, if you've got a
11, yeah.
guy who you just say, golly, this is going to be Chris Thielman.
Right.
I guess that would be Phillip Rivers talking if you were to say, golly, that could be,
Right.
that could be, that maybe, but a guard at number 11?
You know, it's kind of taboo in the NFL, but these two guys, Cooper and Warmack, I mean, you're talking perennial Pro Bowlers.
Yeah.
So, and also with the Chargers, you need every position almost on the line. So,
You know, when we were at the Combine and we talked to Tom Slesko and John Spanos,
Mm-hmm.
that's their, and I mean, every GM says it and they all say it, but they need that whole roster needs
Right.
help. And so when you can take someone who's going to be, like you said, an All-Pro or going to the Pro Bowl and whatnot, I mean, they want to take the best pick at that value.
Real quick, this kid, Trufant.
right.
I saw him play early in the year. Number 11?
NFL pedigree. Speed, dynamic. He likes the challenge of being out there on the island. There's not many guys, that come into the NFL ready to do that. Most guys are ready to be like a nickelback. He wants to be out there. Dominated at the Senior Bowl. Had a great combine.
Okay.
All right, you're thinking second round, they might go with a cornerback, another cornerback, right?
Right.
Darius Slay, tell us about him.
This kid started out in the beginning of the college football season, wasn't even on the radar, was buried, on the depth chart as a nickelback, became the second guy to Jonathan Banks, who's the prospect everybody's talking about from Mississippi State. Had 5 interceptions, was a dynamic special teams player. 2 months ago, he jumped up to the 5th, 4th round pick, and now he's all the way up to the 2nd, 3rd pick after running the fastest 40 at the combine.
Well, if they don't get Melvin Ingram stepping up like
Exactly.
they're hoping,
Right.
and somehow find another pass rusher, they'll need, maybe they should just draft all cornerbacks because there'll be some passes thrown and a lot of time. Let's talk about some combine fallers.
Yes. Right.
Okay. And through no fault of his own, really, I would say Utah star Lou Tulele.
Right.
Okay. Star Lou Tulele. What's the story on this guy with the heart condition?
Abnormal test came back. Apparently, his left ventricle is not pumping enough blood, which is never good.
Amazing.
But it's preliminary. He's having more tests done this week. But just off of that, off of not being able to work out the combine, he's already slipping.
Of course.
I dropped him down from number 2 to 10. In other mocks, he's falling down to 15, 16, 17. So we're waiting a week.
Yeah.
But he's obviously a great talent. It's just
And
scares me.
This could save his life. So.
Right.
I mean,
And that's why every time we're at the combine, I'm talking about the money he's lost and all that stuff. And he's like, but this could save his life. I mean, he might not have known about it if it hadn't been at the combine.
Exactly.
She's always like, God, she's got this heart of gold.
Go on.
Manti Te'o was exhausted by the interview
Yes,
process.
yes, he didn't have a good performance at the combine, and he's saying, "You guys,
Other
this was
on
too
stage,
much for
his
me."
performance was great.
The best part of his combine was when he talked to the media.
Exactly. 4.82 40, which is just, people expected him to run in the 4.6s. Didn't really do anything else because he was so exhausted.
Which is just, that doesn't bode well.
Doesn't
I mean,
bode well in the football world.
Especially now,
Yeah.
I mean, before we dealt with the drama of his fake girlfriend,
Right.
he got blown up in a title game. Before that, he hadn't played a
Right.
game in a month and a half. So people are starting to forget, he was a good football player. Now we're starting to think he's kind of a drama.
Especially, going from the title game, I think he really had to prove himself here,
Right.
or try to up those skills a little bit. And you can't, as an NFL player, you can't have an excuse of, well, it's too exhausting. What do you think the season's going to be
Exactly.
like? So
I still say this kid seems to have pretty good character. He made some
Sure.
bad choices
Absolutely.
as a young man.
But I don't think he'll go as high as-
and I see it like a Ray
Yeah.
Maluga, okay,
Yes.
who could be a couple, 3 years into his career. People
Yeah.
are saying, that guy knows where to be
Yeah.
and knows how to get to the ball.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guarantee
Absolutely.
you there are teams right now, like the Ravens, at the end, good teams that were playoff teams that are thinking, thank you, Manti.
Exactly.
Thank you for running 4.8.
exactly, we're going to be able to get you, and still a good
Exactly.
player, and can be, like you said, a really good player.
To me, it's still bizarre to watch the combine and have it be treated. You've got Rich Eisen and Mike Mayock up there,
Right.
and
Yeah.
to have it be treated as a sporting event,
Yeah.
it's still
Yeah.
weird. But they had a split screen of Manti Te'o running and John Harbaugh. The
Yeah.
head coach of the Ravens, and
Shaking his head. He
shaking
was
his head at
shaking
his
his
time
head.
because you saw in
Yeah.
the second one
Right.
his time, and he only beat it by 100th of a second, and he really
Yeah.
slowed down at the end. And it's like, wow, they are breaking down the coach's reaction to this guy's 40.
And now
Combine
what's
is great.
interesting, the news yesterday, briefly, I think we've got to go soon, but Kansas City took Al Smith, so they're not going, obviously, for a quarterback.
Right.
So you're thinking Luke Jokel or Eric Fisher, right?
Yeah, people are higher on Eric Fisher. He's starting to catch Jokel personally. When you put up SEC competition versus MAC competition, I'm going to take the SEC guy. So I'm thinking Jokel's going to be the guy. But Fisher's he's almost a top 5 guy.
Hey, how about this?
How
You
about
guys have
AFC
similar
West?
hair. Mel Kiper actually jumped Lane Johnson above those two guys.
Wow.
After the combine.
He
Talk
was-
about reacting to the combine.
That's a little much. I mean, you have to. To me, you have to gauge everything.
You
but
didn't like my hair joke?
The whole, yeah, you have to engage the whole.
You didn't like that? I thought it was good.
I
You guys
appreciated
want
it.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, awkward. All right.
Annie, say goodbye for the week. We won't be back till Monday.
Hey, we'll be back
if
till
we
Monday,
decide to
so
come back.
have a wonderful weekend. Eddie, continue to mock draft it up. We appreciate you being on the show.
She just
Always.
verbalized. She made it a
Always.
verb.
Mock
Mock
draft
Continue to
it.
mock.
Mock
Yes.
draft it up.
Okay.
All right.
All right, we'll see you.
Thanks
Have
for
a good
watching.
one.